Sometimes I wonder why we will see things of this sort going on in this country, and then very few people are talking about this matter of Kelvin Taylor, the Supreme Court, and people are not even trying to admire the fact that this will lead to a time of anarchy, a time things will not be as it used to be. We were in this country and we saw an individual. And yet, Onupograno, he is a media broadcaster like anybody that you see on the internet, sharing his thoughts and ideas as a Ghanaian. But he took it a bit further, taking the names down as if they were apples plucked from an apple tree. And you make it so easy. But then I remember the other time because the chief FIFA of the for the records Facebook page decided there about can hunt some. Unfortunately, he decided to bring his father and a few families here and there, and this same person took him to court. That is Kevin Taylor for you. I am not saying taking Kevin Taylor, the Kevin Taylor versus Oketechi, and then the father court was bad. But what I want to say is this: so what do you papa na so you? So what do you be close to you so you? Then this one should actually give a very perhaps a surprising one to everybody. Today, we are pretty concerned about the case. Wama Kevin Taylor, and then he is actually free. And we try and talk about the disadvantages and even the advantage that it is for the government in power. And so you need to stay glued to this particular session because Obaya Dawankasa. Now, one of the basic things we need to know about cases of this sort in there, there's always going to be a trend afterwards over a period of time. Nama, all you slowly. People who use precedents, as the Supreme Court always talks about. They use precedents of court cases to make sure they measure it against cases in the future. Now, at the certiorari that court, no way if you perhaps that is the constitution. You hold a certiorari in whatever capacity at that court, then you squash a certain arrest warrant. But I thought squashing an arrest warrant meant that you yourself have to be arrested. Then your lawyers will go to the court with their certiorari and then squash it out. They are citing in Japan certain few things he said against a certain Supreme Court judge. Now all of these things were at play, and that is why I kept on saying in the beginning that a trend would always make things hard over a period of time. Today, we are talking about a similar trend, a trend we never wanted to see. I'm trying to get a bit of some lightning. A trend we never want to see, and this time around we are seeing it. A trend we never wanted to see, but in the near comfortably, an individual walks free, speaks against a Supreme Court judge, the highest court of apex, the highest court on the apex of authority when it comes to our constitution, the judiciary, as it were, the arm of government that is so much to be respected. I'm not saying the legislature or executive ought not to be, but you know the judiciary has to be respected. Because say obi be jene man do na wakapsa bibi di tia wo mana na sa warankasa you don't have respect for your judges. Trust me, it will go a long way to affect the future generations because their judges are not respected. Since how would you feel if the ochina was some court na arrest warrant, and because somehow you were a politician? Now let me give you the second disadvantage. Another trend that will happen is that, you know, the former finance minister, which is Kenneth Oriata, as of now, we have evidence to say from the office of the special prosecutor, Kisi Ejabe, telling us that because of a few misappropriations, he's actually being declared wanted. He's actually on the radar that he needs to be brought in and incarcerated for and questioning. Yasani Yate with information that he's actually in the US hospital receiving medical or taking himself through some medical attention. Oh yeah, though, we've seen a lot of here and there. But one thing, this trend would worry one day because Kenneth Oriata, people will advise Kenneth Oriata that he should wait when MPP comes into power. We are now about the country. Then he will hold a certiorari with his lawyer, go to the Supreme Court and squash his arrest warrant. So a trend would always bring about precedents, and the precedents will always worry the future generation. Because your family member does not wield power today, because your family member is not in party today, and what the people are saying against the opponents. Kwame Nkrumah Bredo, there were a lot of things which led to the overthrow. I'm not interested in talking about his overthrow, which happened on the 24th of February 1966. But what I'm interested in is this. It got to a point they were using power against their opponent, turning the state into a one-party state, going against democracy. And it led to a lot of things. Menya left, right, center. After that period now of civilian rule, what happened? Military coup. So there is a trend that we are moving into, that we have run away from for a long time. But certain mishaps can make us go back into that same time. Now, the future generations are the ones who are going to perhaps suffer the weight of all of the fault that has been done today. And when they watch, they learn. And when they learn, they practice, they put it into action. I remember there was a time, Obi cited there, he went to a certain black neighborhood in the US, I think Maryland or something. One fan I'm unable to recall. And the black kids who were playing at the time were holding, they were actually white kids mixed with black kids. And they were playing with guns. Toy guns. How you feel? Whether they are water pistols, whether they have, and these ones look like real guns, but they were toys. So, the pampanam, as we know in our various balance of play. And you could see very clearly there, they were shooting each other. A day will come, then they will be shooting each other with real guns. You shoot somebody with a toy gun, tomorrow you shoot the person with a real gun. It starts from action. It starts from practice. It won't know why a reality. But when you set the precedence, believe you me, the reality will happen. They are setting the precedences by engaging themselves right. They watch your movies, they are becoming snipers. Today, people have become snipers and causing precedents to happen. Tomorrow, when the reality sets in, the future children who had no fault or no doing whatsoever today will be the ones to suffer tomorrow, because there's a certain precedence. Say our restaurant to be bar. We can wait. We take a setual right to the judiciary and we squash it, because the precedence has been cited. These things does not help when it comes to nation building. And I am here there. People were able to leak the information that Kelvin Taylor is in this country. He came and he left. And people were able to leak it again, that he was actually guided by certain state institutions, which they mentioned. We are not afraid of any state institution, but what we are afraid about is this, that if what people are saying is true, then we are afraid. How will I be able to say that, Ochina, Obi in your case, and then the army in your case, and I am being carried by state institution because my banwado. If people keep on bringing about this information of this sort, people will not have trust in these state institutions. It will lead to anarchy. It will lead to a lot of unnecessary things. There may be, and I say that I am here there. We don't have people trying to think about our tomorrow. And so they are so much interested in talking about, and maybe here. This is my bottle of water and tea. And I believe that the place is dark. One fan chef. I had to do this video very quickly, and it met almost the evening. I was contemplating on bringing a video to one of our platforms, but I actually had a few things here and there. I traveled somewhere. Then I left my charger to one fan chef. I've not been able to make this page active. But, when you can see that this is blatant misuse and appropriation of power, this is blatant misuse of and misappropriation of power, and people are using it so well because their party is in power. John Dramani Mahama is doing well, but if this trend continues, trust me, he will go down as being one of the worst presidents, but started one of the best ways. And more Ghanaians, they don't really matter. It doesn't really matter how you start, but how you end becomes the very thing they will remember you for. At a point, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, he's actually the doomsday president of our time. I felt bad, but then but that was what we saw at the time. There was light out everywhere. People complained, businesses crashed. Yes, they will crash. Because without electricity, that is when you see the importance of solar power. Then, without the existence of hydroelectric power, you need to have an additional or alternative source of power. He was dubbed that particular name for the sake of Nazawin to 1 year, another one she wants to stay. MPP comes into power and then sustains the light for over 8 years. And for about 8 weeks, they could not get power. That is cumulatively. There were points the light went off. Tezimina calculated the 8 years. Now it was close to 8 weeks. I may be wrong, but I think it's between 6 weeks to 8 weeks. And that was the time they had light out. So it was beautiful. What did NPP do differently? They did something extraordinary. But Oyamedel, NDC takes over power, and then they are actually learning from their lessons, and that is beautiful. But learn from your lessons, right? Don't set people free because they supported you to come into power. Other than that, when the power, someone said something. Someone said something this morning. There, whenever you send a straw, you need to. The lawyers on the page, you need to remember me. I want my comment section one that lawyers keep on saying words like that, saying you obi your case. Nasa one kasana at the case now, or one kasa one the case now, and then there are precedences of maybe a in the past. It goes against you. And then another scenario in there, and you'll be a court, another you'll be wakasa kasebi. Now you put in wakasa and waba the cow. A cow was born, the person cannot pay. It's like when you send a man of straw to court, you actually get nothing. You come home with nothing. Sorry. The person is lightweight. So what you want from him, you cannot ask the lightweight man to do something which is heavyweight. It's not possible. A day will come, they will ask something which is heavier than what you are doing because they've set a certain precedence. I wouldn't want to talk long because what's the certain thing on your sheet? My name is Alpha. Wamazana share video for Bobio, WhatsApp, Facebook, anywhere. Then we are chatting comment section. I'm a crowd.